Why are road bikes so darn expensive, especially compared to mountain bikes? Take this for example, the brand new Canyon Neuron top of the range e-mountain bike. It offers a full carbon frame, a Bosch motor and battery, and a launched today SRAM GX Eagle Transmission drivetrain, and it costs more or less the same as just a frame set for that new Factor O2 VAM road bike I showed you yesterday. So a carbon frame costs the same as this entire bike. It seems a bit crazy, a bit mental. I'm not really sure what's going on. And not only is this bike better value for money, it's also faster on the climbs and it's a lot more fun as well. I've been riding this bike for the last 6 to 8 weeks and I've had so much fun riding it. Probably the most fun of all the bikes I've ridden this year. So in this video, I'm going to review it, share all my likes and dislikes, go through some of the key features, talk about price, specification, and show you how it rides and whether it's a bike for you this year. So I'm David, you're watching Just Ride Bikes. Let's dive in. So Neuron has been fully updated with a load of changes and better geometry. And this is the company's shortest travel e-bike with 140 millimeters of travel front and rear, rolling on 29-inch wheels at both ends, and we have fairly progressive geometry, not as slack and low as a Spectral, the Strive and a Torque, but the sort of riding this bike is aimed at is pretty much perfect. We have a full carbon frame on this range topper model. There are aluminium offerings lower down the range depending on your budget, and we have some really cool features which I'll point out in a moment, some real likes and dislikes on this bike. So the regular Neuron without a motor is positioned as a XC trail bike. This bike is for riders, and I include myself in this bracket here, who want to explore their local trails, want to go a long way, so distance is a priority. Definitely want to challenge themselves on technical trails, but more into fast flowing single track. Don't mind the climb so much, but want a bit of help on the climbs to eke out the distance they can achieve on a bike like this. The geometry isn't as extreme as the Spectral and the bigger bikes in the company's range, but that means it's better at low speed and on less severe, less extreme trails. So fast flowing single track is really where the bike excels the most. And at low speed, the geometry ensures the bike is more maneuverable and it changes direction much more easily and much more winning than the bigger, slacker, heavier, burlier e-bikes in the company's range. And compared to that Spectral, this bike is so lively, so full of energy, just fizzes and pops down my local trails. The combination of the fast rolling knobby nick tyres, the 29-inch wheels front and rear, really helps the bike devour single track. Single track is where this bike is right at home. And it climbs really well too, and you can definitely run a lower assistance level on this bike due to the fast rolling speed and the pretty low weight the bike offers. The Neuron actually launched a little while ago, but this top of the range model has been embargoed because of this, the brand new SRAM GX Eagle Transmission drivetrain. Now, if you've been paying attention to the mountain bike world, you know that a few months ago, SRAM launched a brand new group set called Transmission, available at the top level with XX and so on. Been 8 years in the making and has a new way of mounting directly to the frame around the dropout and the through axle, and does away with the mech hanger, which was always a bit of a weak link on a bike, especially a mountain bike, prone to bending or in worst case scenarios braking and pushing the rear mech into spokes and costing you a lot of money. So this new rear mech is a big chunky oversized item. The whole unit can be disassembled and you can replace parts if they break, so great from a serviceability point of view. And there are videos online that show people standing on it with 2 people putting all their body weight onto it and it doesn't bend. So a really strong, secure, solid fitting. And the benefits of this design, according to the US company, are that it's more reliable when shifting under load, especially important on an e-bike with all the power it can put through a drivetrain, and more robust and more durable too. And during my time with the bike, it has been very reliable, definitely lives up to their claims. And the best feature I found is how you can shift under load, under power in any situation. And that is very impressive indeed. Now with a mechanical shifting setup, it helps if you kind of ease off the power to get a nice smooth shift, or wait until a better opportunity on a trail to change gear. But on this, if you're on a steep climb and getting technical, getting a bit spicy, and you're running out of power and you need a lower gear, but you are putting a lot of load through the drivetrain, it doesn't matter. Just smash the buttons and the rear mech just change gear. No crunching, no delay, no hesitation. The technology is the same as we saw on the higher end group sets, but using cheaper materials to bring the price down with a small weight penalty. One nice upgrade on this rear mech is the way the rear battery, the same battery in all access systems, road, gravel and mountain bike, slides into the rear mech, so it's well protected from damage. So a real nice feature, a nice upgrade on this group set. So very neat. Right, let me share some likes and dislikes, and we'll start with the fact there's space for a big water bottle. This is a small bottle with a side entry cage, but there's space, as you can see, for a bigger bottle in the main frame, so ideal for your hydration needs on a long ride. I like the fact we have a small chain guard on the front just to ensure the chain doesn't drop off despite the best efforts of the clutch mechanism and a narrow wide chainring on this bike. I'm not sure if putting the cables inside the steering tube like this is such a good idea. Yes, it gives a nice clean frame, no holes to ruin the lines, but it does mean maintenance could be a bit trickier. Details matter, and I love this through axle lever that pulls out when you need it. So no tools needed, no exposed lever there. So nice and smooth, I like that. That's a really cool detail. Let me show you again. So simple, fantastic. There are a lot of motors on the e-bike market right now, and this bike uses the Bosch motor, which I really like, and I prefer it to the Shimano EP8 I had on the Spectral earlier this year. Compared to the Shimano system, I think Shimano and Bosch do go head to head quite a lot. The Bosch motor gives a really seamless, smooth power delivery. It's a lot punchier and a lot more responsive, especially at lower speeds and when you're on tricky climbs where you're kind of half pedaling and you need a motor to respond really quickly. So I find that aspect of the motor, the way it's more responsive, the way it's more instant in its power delivery, and that overdrive torque delivery makes it a nicer motor to use. I really like the integration of the Bosch control unit into the top tube just here with a power button. These bars show your remaining runtime, so 2 bars remaining from possible 5, and this color bar here shows the level of assistance, which you can change with this button here, or much easier to use this bar mounted button setup here. So more power, less power, and a walk mode. So that works really nicely. I like the simplicity of that. And while there's no bar display showing your range, distance, and other data, the simplicity, one less distraction, just lets you focus on riding and just hit the power you need. On the downside though, the battery can't be removed from the down tube for charging at home, which could potentially be a problem. The charge port is here underneath a rubber flap, so easy to access. The battery life, in my experience, is plenty for several rides of 30, 40, 50 kilometers. So the range is fantastic. I like the fact we have a big bash guard on the bottom of the motor, which I have used several times, kind of a skid plate, and that works really nicely. We also have a nice mud flap on the back of the swing arm there to stop mud getting into the bearings, which are all oversized and well sealed against the elements. And the reason I've had so much fun riding this bike over the last 6 weeks is because it just gets me out when I otherwise wouldn't. Whether that's because I ride my bike every single day and I'm always tired, and often my head is willing, but my body just isn't. I want to go for a spin, I need a blast of adrenaline or fresh air, but my legs are just exhausted. On this bike though, I can get out for a blast, for an hour ride at lunchtime, after work, up here in the woods, get in touch with nature and just ride it off-road, which I've always loved to do my whole biking life. And this bike enables that. And that enabling is the reason I love this bike so much and why I think e-mountain bikes are just fantastic. The other reason this bike is so much fun, and I've had an absolute blast riding it, because it's so much fun on the trails. It's so manoeuvrable, way easier to move around than the bigger, heavier e-bikes. It feels alive, it feels agile. I can move it around the trail more easily, more akin to a normal trail bike. It just feels light and easy to move around. It just feels so good. Yes, you don't have as much suspension or that super slack head angle to help you out, but you do have to ride it a bit, and I don't mind that. I don't want the bike doing all the work for me. I want to feel in control, and the bike helps me feel in control. Most of the time, you can really put it where you want it with more ease. I feel less of a passenger and more of a pilot on a bike, and that for me is one of the fundamental reasons I've had so much fun riding a bike. And the reason the bike is so good and so much fun is when you are time crunched, because most of us are these days, and you're nipping out for a quick hour at lunchtime. With the motor, you can whiz back up the climb, squeeze in another run or two, and when you get home, you're not absolutely shattered and need an afternoon nap. I really like the way this Bosch motor works. I do prefer it to the Shimano. I like having 4 levels of assistance to choose from, so a finer level of assistance. I find that easier to find what I need in different situations, and I find it more responsive, more immediate, and just more natural and organic feeling. It assists you in a really nice way. Right, let's see how the bike copes on a reasonably technical little climb. Thankfully it's nice and dry. It's been so dusty and sunny recently. Switch down to second from top power mode. Don't need full beams. Oh, a piece of cake. Bike just handles that so well. Clearly the motor helps, but the seating position, the steep seat angle, tyres giving good grip as well. The bike makes the climbing as much fun as the descents. You can ride stuff, clean stuff that you might have struggled before. Let's get straight to the roots. Right, suspension's so good too. I love the rock shot pike, and in the ultimate form it's a fantastic fork. Plenty stiff enough, I think, for this bike. Deluxe in the back, nice composed suspension, good damping, easy to set up as well, get a good baseline setting. So to sum up this review of the new Canyon Neuron On, it's definitely a bike I can give a big thumbs up to. If it ticks all your boxes for what you're looking for in an e-mountain bike, you won't be disappointed at all. Great ride performance, handling, great value for money, good components, and it looks good too. So definitely a bike to consider, one to shortlist this year for sure. Anyway, if you want to see a review of that special e-mountain bike, you can do that by watching the video right up here. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button down here. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again very soon.